Welcome into Priced Out, the podcast. I'm Andrew Morgan with your host, Cornelius Swart. How you doing today, Cornelius?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you?
Doing really good. We've got a really great and exciting interview. We've been talking about this interview for a while now, and I'm just excited that we were able to get Nikki Williams on the line today.
Yeah, we have a phone interview, as everybody can hear, and we talked to her in Dallas, Texas, 2 years after she was, in the last scene in Priced Out. And so we've been anxious to hear what she has to say about, did she find a Black community that she was looking for? What is the experience of racism in Dallas like compared to what she had experienced and described in Portland and Priced Out? And, what does it mean to be part of a community in Dallas, Texas? And is there gentrification going on there? The last thing she says in Priced Out is that she can begin to see the other side of gentrification, meaning she sees how people can see opportunity in real estate. How does that all play out in her life over the last 2 years? So it's exciting to hear what's been going on since the film.
All right, so I'm excited. Let's give it to him now. Here's Nikki Williams.
Nikki, it's been a long time.
It has.
And it's hot down there, huh?
Woo, it's hot. It's supposed to be 100 tomorrow, 100 the next day, and pretty much 97, 98, 99 every other day for the next, I think, forever.
And you don't like using, you were just saying you don't like using your AC.
I don't. I prefer fresh air, even if it's warm. I would prefer fresh air over AC anytime.
You're a stronger person than I. I could not sleep in 80-degree heat at night.
Well, see, I keep my AC on 85. So even though I have it, I keep it on 85. Anything under that just feels like cold. It don't feel right to me, which is weird coming from Portland, right?
And you still don't like to drive, right? You don't have a car.
Oh no, hell, these folks out here don't know how to drive right. So no, but that is on my list. I have a list of stuff I'm going to just conquer and overcome. Driving is one of them. I want to start getting out and going other places, seeing other parts of Texas. Definitely getting out of Dallas.
Well, let's jump into it official. So Nikki, you have now been in Dallas for 2 years?
Yeah.
Where are you? Where are you in Dallas?
I am in Southern Oak Cliff.
Southern Oak Cliff.
Southern Oak Cliff.
And that's in South Dallas?
So I've been told. Well, I call it South Dallas, but I pretty much called everything South Dallas. But I've been told, and I guess I could even say warned by the locals not to call it that. I'm in Southern Oak Cliff, and I've been told by others I'm in the southern region of Dallas. So either way, it's South Dallas to me.
But Andrew spent some time in that neighborhood, right?
Yeah. I grew up for a little while off of like Campo Road in that area, and my daughters live in Irving, just right outside of that area. Okay,
so they're still out here.
Yeah, and so there's this stigma that kind of exists where it's sort of like it's not even gentrification like related. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, they're in Oak Cliff, like kind of like that's where the Black people are. Everything else, you know what that's about. South Dallas is kind of wide, so you do have to say Oak Cliff to specify the Black neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
And see, that's like interesting to me because I came here without any stigma or any preconceptions about anything because the neighborhood I lived in Portland was stigmatized as the hood. Like if you lived in the Mississippi area, it was like, oh, you're not just Black, you black. It had a horrible stigma attached. And yet now here we are 20 years later, and you can't find Black people hardly there. Everybody want to be there. Now it's not the hood, it's urban Portland. So when I came to Oak Cliff, and I still get that. When I tell people where I live, they get quiet. But I love my neighborhood. I love these old, beautiful houses. You could tell the way the neighborhood was set up that it was meant to be a community, a thriving community. So I love it. I love it.
And now you own a house now.
Oh, absolutely. I was going to go from 20 years of owning a home to being a renter forever. So I was determined when I came here, once I decided to stay in Texas, to buy a home. Definitely buy a home.
Now, you at one point you told me that you considered yourself a black gentrifier.
I got to be honest with you. This whole neighborhood, this entire area is black. I think I've run into maybe two white people, and she let me know that her family has been here since the 40s, but she said she thinks she's the only white person left in the area because she can't find another one. And there's about 4 or 5 Mexican families as well. And so this whole area is black. And I didn't know that for about a month after I'd been here, because it's the kind of area where you just really don't see people. I sit on my porch and read, and you can sit on your porch all day long and not really see another person walk by or anything. So wow. I don't know if I'm a gentrifier because the neighborhood hasn't flipped yet, but I see all the signs. All the signs are here.
Do most people own their homes?
Oh, yeah. Most people here are older folk. I'm one of the younger folk. So I would call it a retirement area, because that's kind of what it is, because I've been asking folks, well, what do people do? Like, I don't see my neighbors. People aren't outside doing, like, what goes on here? And I've had several longtime residents say, this is the type of area where you come home and go to bed. Huh. So whatever that means.
It's so relative. It's so interesting. I just got my hair cut from a woman who's from Ethiopia, and she's like, oh, Portland, it's okay. It's quiet. It's kind of small and boring. I'm from Addis. Addis is like Addis Ababa is the big city there. She's like, oh yeah. Came here, and I'm just like, where are all the people? You don't see any people. You just see cars. So but I think of Portland as being, a relatively walkable place. You see people a lot.
Part of the difference may be you moved there long before it was hip for white folks to be. Well, you're a white guy. I keep telling you that you're a white guy. You're a nice one, but you're a white guy. But I think you moved there before it was hip or cool or supposedly safe for white folks to be there. So you moved there to live there. I think a lot of the folks who have moved there now, it's kind of like a hip thing, like a, I don't know what to call it, but not so much they want to make it their forever home, but it's the hot spot for now where you want to be in between. So I think maybe that's the difference. You live there. You're part of the neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And am I a white guy? It's like, it really depends who's in the room. It's like I say, I was the whitest guy on the block when I moved in, and now I'm the darkest guy on the block.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, for real. That's because I feel like, no, you're the
People
white
look at
guy,
me
though.
like, who's this swarthy stranger over here?
Well, when you start getting pulled over by the police for no reason, it's not your color, okay? Just remember that. But either way, get out the car and run.
So what do you think of Dallas now that you've been there 2 years? You came. It was like you said, it was wide open. You had no preconceived notions, and you had a fistful of FUs for Portland as you left. What do you think of first of your new home? What do you think of the community that you were looking to find?
Well, it's interesting. Even though I've been here 2 years, I can't believe it. Like, I really cannot believe that much time has flown by, because I still feel, in a lot of ways, like a total and complete stranger just visiting. Mm-hmm. I do not see Dallas as a friendly place. That's not how it has felt to me. It doesn't necessarily feel welcoming. And keep in mind, my search for a home wasn't just about finding a house, because, I mean, just like Portland is whoring itself out, Texas is whoring the hell out of itself, especially Dallas. So I made it a point when I got my realtor to let her know this is not about just finding a house. I want to be part of a community. It needs to be brown. It needs to be somewhat impoverished. Like I said, I looked at a lot of houses in a lot of neighborhoods in a big, huge McMansion full of bougie folks who don't speak to one another. That's not me. I didn't want that. And so my realtor is from South Dallas. So she educated me. We spent 3-4 days a week because I told her, for me, it had to be about finding someone who wanted to get out or who needed to get out because they were having problems. Because they oh my goodness, the tax rates have quadrupled. So it was about helping someone, and so I spent a lot of time house hunting, but she educated me about Texas. She educated me about Dallas, and in particular, South Dallas. Pretty much what they did to my old neighborhood in Portland.
How do you mean?
Even out here, well, like they'll earmark money to rejuvenate, rebuild, empower South Dallas, and then the money goes elsewhere, or they'll come and do just enough to make it a great PR event, but not much more. So.
And was there redlining and urban renewal and all the things that happened in Albina?
And it's still going on now. They just had a story on the news a few weeks ago about all this money that was supposed to be earmarked for South Dallas to build all these new houses. I think it was supposed to be 200,000 new houses, and come to find out the money went to Uptown. So same old thing. You treat poor black folk however the hell you want, and if too many complain, you just call them whiners. So it's just America's America. So being new to Dallas and new to Texas doesn't mean you're new to life or this game.
So did you find a new community, though, a sense of community?
I can honestly say not really. Not yet. Not yet. Because like I said, for me and to me, it really hasn't been a welcoming place. Maybe that's just that Portland hippie stuff, But
meaning you're a Portland
really
hippie?
Well, here's the weirdness. Here's the weirdness. When I was in Portland, I felt that I was kind of conservative because I don't do the negative bike ride, and stuff like that. So I felt somewhat conservative, liberal, but kind of conservative. Out here, I feel uber liberal, like uber liberal out here. And so it's like kind of strange to me how it feels. Now, what I have done, I've been connecting to organizations and to people that are doing kind of what I would like to do, or kind of addressing the social issues and the social problems. So where I have been finding community, I hate to say it, but where I have been finding community is kind of with organizations that are trying to change things.
What kind of organizations?
So that's where my community is now.
What are those organizations?
I think I've sent you I've sent you emails about the Metro Dallas Homeless Alliance. I go to their meetings. They're trying to address homelessness. So I go to just about anything and everything they give. I was actually part of a program called The Brain. It's to help entrepreneurs because I do want to have my own business. So I was going to The Brain at the library, and it's more for like business folk or folk who want to start their own business versus work for someone. I've been going to UNT Dallas because I'll be starting the grad program there in August. So I've been going there and meeting people and connecting with them, So I'm making a community. Not that I don't like the one I live in, but this is not that kind of place yet. Right. But I do have hope that it'll get there.
So in Northeast Passage, you fought really hard for your community, and I've always admired the effort that you put in. Do you envision yourself using putting that type of energy potentially into the community you're in now?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like I'm loading up. I'm gaining all the knowledge that I need to gain and making the connections I need to, make, and reaching out to my neighbors and getting to know them, because that is pretty much where I'm going to dedicate the second half of my life. If I stay here, and I think I've decided I'm going to stay here, that's what I have to do. So I'm making connections to help my community. And I've already been raised in hell. I've already written, a letter to Senator Royce. I've called the ISD, school district. What the hell? How is that? How are the schools rating only 2? What can I do to help? So I have a lot of outrage. I'm going to be honest. So I'm making connections to come back and help this community because, like I said, I don't think they see the signs, but because I've survived gentrification totally and completely, I see it. I can't walk 2 blocks in my own area without seeing signs. We buy houses. That's real. They're already here. My realtor pointed that out. She's like, the vultures are here in the area you live in, Nikki. They're circling because this is an area full of elderly folks. It's mostly retired elderly folks. And like I said, the house I bought 2 years ago, it was $55,000 less. Okay, really? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's here. And what I see coming, not only that the folks will be blindsided, but that they will be forced out of their community, not because they don't own their homes or can't pay their mortgages, but because the taxes have risen so high. So I see myself gearing up for the battle of my life, probably, truth be told. But that's what's necessary.
In the last been priced out, you were very critical of what you saw as Portland's sort of passive aggressive racism. It's sort of liberalism, but it's sort of liberal hypocrisy.
Absolutely. Liberal just means I don't call you the N-word to your first face or burn crosses on your porch. That's how I see the word liberal.
So, but now you're in a place where that it's very conservative. So what if anything, has your opinion of Portland or Portland liberalism changed at all?
Actually, when it comes to the issue of race and racism, it's the same. The way I see it on that one issue, because now that I'm here, I do see how progressive Portland is in some areas. I can see it. I took it for granted. But when it comes to the issue of racism and how it treats Black folks and its overall mentality, no, it's the same thing. And that's what I've had to tell folks, no, being in Texas feels like being in Oregon because it's that same mentality. The only difference, and I think I've told you this, out here, they call a lynching rope a lynching rope. Everyone knows what it's used for. Everyone knows the end result. In Portland, they call it a beautiful silk necktie, and they ask you to please put your neck in it. But they still know the end result is death. So for me, there's no difference. It's just the way they go about it. Now, what I will say I do appreciate about having been raised in a quote-unquote liberal place is the mentality. I can freely talk, or I have always freely spoken about issues of racism and disproportionate representation of African Americans in systems and, oppression and, just saying whatever the heck I want to say because that's what we're addressing. How do you not name it if you're trying to address it, acknowledge it, and fight it? Whereas out here, which really kind of blows my mind when I start talking about, well, why are you here? Well, I came to start a program so I can help the neighborhood by, fighting, institutional racism. And then I talk about that. I talk about critical race theory and critical race feminism. And I am told 9 times out of 10 to hush. I better not say that. Don't say that. People have died. I mean, it's crazy to me.
Well, what happens if you say it? What are they going to do?
Well, I don't shut the hell up. I've never been the type to whisper or tiptoe. I mean, not saying it doesn't make it go away. And when they tell me people have died for saying what I'm saying, it's and that's why we must continue to say it. Shutting up don't mean you don't end up dead any damn way. So part of what's breaking my heart, because I truly believe that moving out here to a mostly brown environment, that there would be more social justice movement. There would be more understanding of the issues that need to be addressed. There would be more, fighting the power. And it breaks my heart It breaks my heart to see so many brown folks scared to death to take a stand and voice their opinion. So that's that part that actually kind of fuels me. It fuels me. Well, okay, then that just means I really got to be ready. That just means I really got to step up to the plate. That just means I really got to be effective in impacting this bull, you know. But it hurts me. It does. I'm so tired of crying. I tell my daughter that all the time. I said, I'm so tired of crying because maybe in a different area, Black folk are treated better, but I don't see it over here. There's way too many people homeless, hurting. Mental illness is rampant, yet it's not being addressed, you know, and the social services that I'm just used to seeing everywhere there, I really don't see here, you know. And so it just hurts. Coming here has made me realize life is real out here. Life is very real out here, and no matter how hard I had it in Portland, it didn't compare to what I see out here.
Do you regret it at all?
Not at all.
Moving there?
Regret moving here?
Yeah.
Do I regret moving here? Oh, hell no. Because it's easy to walk around talking about fight the power in a place where everybody thinks they're liberal and they're already fighting it. But to come out here and, it's out here? It's real. So it's like, oh, no, I think I'm exactly where I need to be. And nothing has gone the way I planned it since I moved out here. My plan A, B, C, and D fell through. But I believe with my heart on where I need to be. Like I said, I've been connecting with people who are like-minded. You know, I recently started going to trainings at the Resource Center, you know, and they're one of the programs out here that, you know, they're LGBTQ. They help the LGBTQ community, you know, and they're progressive, extremely progressive in how they're addressing HIV and AIDS and just, you know, fighting for the rights of the community. So it's like I'm aligning myself with folks, you know, because I know damn well Black folk can't do it all by themselves, and it takes many, you know. So I am positive, despite my tears, I am positive that change will occur. Change will occur. You can see it. I mean, come on now. You have a Mexican openly gay woman running for, you know, for governor. Think about that. Come on, this is Texas.
Do you think that you'll find
that change is happening?
So do you think that you'll find an alliance potentially with some of the people in the Hispanic community there?
Oh, I already have. That's the weirdness. Like I said, I didn't know it was a Black community because you don't really see folks out and about like that. So the day that I came and looked at the house, the two people who instantly greeted me, instantly came over to me and, hey, neighbor, welcome to the neighborhood. And we had about a 45-minute conversation, were two of the 4 Hispanic families in this area. And they're the ones who was like, oh, no, this is an all-Black area. And there's only like 4 Hispanic families. And what was really sad, is keeping it real, is they told me they weren't used to Black folks being that friendly to them or talking to them. Like I said, I have a neighbor that I hang out with all the time. She come over here. I go over there. We go do stuff together. And she let it be known, like, no, I'm not used to Black people being how you are. That bothers me because brown is brown is brown is brown. You know, I can't allow horizontal hatred to cloud me. So they've been the ones telling me, like, oh, no, you're a breath of fresh air because you speak to us. But it took weeks of me being here for my Black neighbors that mosey on over and start talking to me. But they were here from day one. And actually, I bought my home from a Mexican, and they let it be known they're from Mexico, but from a Mexican gay couple and their transgender friend. So I sought out specifically this type of couple, this type of homeowner to help. because they had been through hell and back. Like I said, they told me their history. So they had been through hell and back. And they said the thing they loved about being in this area is they were left alone. Nobody bothered them, which unfortunately meant nobody really spoke to them either. But that, I can definitely see myself aligned with them. Absolutely. Have to be.
Why do you think it is that maybe some of the people in the African American community are less, likely to be friendly toward the people in the Hispanic community? And also, why do you think it is that they were less hesitant to greet you when you first got there?
I think the division or the hesitance or the prejudice towards the Hispanic community, I think part of that, I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I think part of it is horizontal hatred or horizontal suspicion, divide and conquer. The insane orange clown spews that rhetoric every day, all day. So I think people are buying into that. I think part of why that is nobody wants to be the person on the bottom. So I think there's that fight. Well, if we're all brown, I don't want to be the bottom brown. So I think part of that is the fight. And unfortunately, I think that it's just not getting to know one another, not bothering to overcome the prejudice and the ignorance and maybe the fear and just see one another as human. So I think there's a lot of reasons, but I think it's really popular right now to, quote unquote, hate Mexicans. And I think that unfortunately we're buying into that bull, not realizing, change the word Mexican to nigger. And they're saying, that's what they're saying about us. So why would I buy into that? I can't. I also think it's fighting for the same resources. So we're all on the bottom fighting for the same half penny. Then you can't see that person as your friend or your ally because you need what they're trying to get. And I understand all that, but I can't co-sign that because I don't think like that. So I think that plays a big part of it. And I think now that I've been here a while and I've been able to just observe kind of the culture, I think part of the reason the Black folk were so hesitant and still kind of are hesitant towards reaching out to me or being as friendly as I thought they'd be, I think they've seen a lot of folks come and say they're going to be here and do this and be part of that, and then they reap the benefits, they poverty pimp it to death, and move on. And so I could see them saying, what the hell with you then? You're just going to be like everybody else. Why bother? But I also think what's underneath that, because I mentioned how being out here hurts, like it really hurts me. I think that what I see more than anything is the Black folks out here have been so stepped on and just so hurt that the best way to just avoid all of that is just not bother engaging. And I think part of it is like just me being me. I wear a headwrap. I'm different, and I don't apologize for that. I embraced it. So I think part of it is just me being different. I'm not trying to join the church clique, just keeping it 100. And that's big out here, So I'm not part of anybody's church. I'm not trying to be bougie. I'm not caught up in the materialistic mess. So there's a lot of the cultural stuff I'm not part of. And I think that could be part of it, But overall, I think it's hurt people. And I think that's what I'm seeing.
So that's what you found here. And at the end of Priced Out, you go out looking for a community. And it also seems like Anna and Samir might join you or might just leave Portland. How are they doing, and what are they up to? Are they still in Portland?
They're still in Portland.
I know the answer.
And me and my daughter talk daily, like every day. I talk to my grandson all the time. They are definitely going to be leaving Portland. I haven't found the magic words to convince them that Texas is the place to come.
Huh.
We recently.
Strange that they're not jumping at that opportunity the way you describe it.
Well, it's interesting. We recently went to Disney World, so they bypassed Texas, and we went to Florida and met up there and had a good time. But we talked about them moving here. You know, I made it a point to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. So when my family comes, if they need a place to stay to get on their feet, they got it. You know, it's just me in this house, you know. So that's why I bought the house. And I live right down the street from a school so I could accommodate my grandson. My daughter has finally gotten to the point where she realizes she cannot deal with Portland anymore. And I think it takes that. I told her that I'm seeing that rage. When she calls me, I hear the rage. I hear the anger. I hear the pain in her voice that I lived with for a long time. And so I think she's finally at the point where she realizes for her mental health and her spiritual well-being, it's time to go. She said it'll probably be a year because she'll be starting the Bachelor in Social Work program at PSU in the fall. So she said she wants to do that for a year, have that solidly under her belt, then figure out where they're moving. But they're going to come here. She don't know it yet, but they're going to come here.
And you're going back to school too, huh?
Absolutely. I've been accepted into the public leadership program at UNT Dallas. So starting in August, I'll be trying to transition this energy and passion from just being a social change agent to being an effective social change leader. So when I say I'm ready to get it on, like, okay, let me get some more skills and make some more connections and get my heart a little toughened up, because I can't be sitting there talking about, you know, what do we want? And I'm crying like a baby. So I'm gearing up. So that's why I chose the public leadership program with a concentration on community development, because I'm here to help. I'm here to help in whatever capacity.
Well, you are a much needed potential leader, and I'll open my mouth way too wide and say, if you run for office, we'll follow you with a camera.
Well, see, I don't want to do that.
Make a film.
But I do believe, you know, when it's time to step up to the plate, someone has to do it, you know? So I won't say what will not happen. I'll just say I'm going to make damn sure I'm effective in the process. How about that?
Well, you would make a great leader, of elected official, and a great subject for a third documentary. Speaking of,
I hear a setup.
I always hear that. Yeah. I hear you still have not seen Priced Out.
I have not seen Priced Out. I have not, no matter how many times you've sent it to me. I don't know if it's just me being a coward, and I'll claim it if that's what it is, but what I learned from Northeast Passage 20 years ago, because I always look at Priced Out as like the 20-year follow-up. Whenever I would watch it, whenever someone would talk to me about it, whenever it would come up, and for years, people approached me about the documentary. For years, I relived that pain. Because like I said, there's a lot that's cut out. There's more that's left out than that goes into it. So when they would mention a certain scene, I would remember all that came with it and before it and after. Mm-hmm. You know, I got attacked a lot. I was under a lot of attack at that time. You know, it was a horrible time in my life. So it took me years to heal or start to heal. So I promised myself this time around I wasn't going to spend the next 10 years in pain. You know, I have the right to be okay. So that's why I haven't watched the documentary. That's why. And besides, I lived it. I lived it, and I trust your editing skills. How about that?
Well, I know Anna's seen it several times, and so I'm sure she vouched for it.
And I wanted her to be the center of attention. You know, I didn't want that. As you know, like by the time I left Portland, I was pretty antisocial. I was like, leave me alone, you know. So I wanted her to kind of understand what comes with this, the responsibility that comes with speaking out and telling your truth. Because there's a price to pay. There's a price to pay for that.
Before we wrap it up, I got one last question from my end. What advice would you give my wife and I, as an African American couple trying to make our way in this area? What advice would you give us? Oh,
you're in Portland?
Because I live in Vancouver. I was unable to find a place we could afford in Portland.
I believe that.
But still, every day we come down into this area and try to work and do different things to be seen in the community and try to help out. What advice would you give us to we want to make a change, we want to make a difference, and we want to do it in the skin that we're in. So what advice would you give us?
I would say, and hindsight is always a lot clearer. I would say align yourself with people who are trying to make the change that you would like to see. And don't limit yourself. And I'm not saying that negatively because, let's be honest, Portland is uber white. Don't limit yourself to just people of color. Definitely seek them out because they know the story better than anyone could, but also align yourself with folks that you may not otherwise work with. The way I see it, like a lot of the times the gay community, they're fighting the same fight. They're on the same fight that we're on. We just, for whatever reason, can't seem to understand that in the Black community. So align yourself with folks who are in the trenches with you. Align yourself with the, Hispanic community. Align yourself with as many people as you possibly can who are like-minded, because oftentimes it is the same struggle and the same battle, just from different perspectives. But it's all needed. You need all the help, especially now. You need all the help you can get because, like I said, that whole liberal myth doesn't seem to overcome the reality of institutional and personal racism. So align yourself with good people who have dealt with themselves, who have dealt with their stuff. Because it's hard to be nice and sit on committees with folks when you want to cuss them out, tell them to quit being so racist. So do align yourself with folks you may not necessarily get down with in your personal life, but you need them to reach your goal of change.
All right, good advice from future Alderwoman Nikki Williams, future City Council of Dallas City Council.
Well, I tell you what, Neil. Should that happen, dinner's on me. How about that?
All right. Okay. I'll fly down there and I'll bring Andrew with the boom mic.
Yep.
And have you ever seen Street Fight?
No.
It's one of my favorite documentaries.
No, I haven't.
It's about Cory Booker's first run for mayor of Newark. He actually lost the election, but it's a great political documentary.
Street Fight?
And Street Fight.
Okay, I'll look into that. I will definitely look into that.
Check it out, folks.
All right, I will. All right. And thank you both. Y'all have a great day. Wait. I'm in Texas now. Let me change that. Have a blessed day.
Have a blessed day. Blessings.
All right, bye-bye.
And welcome back in. That was Nikki Williams. Now, that was an exciting interview. I wish I would have warned you to pull out your notepad because it was so much that you could have written down in that short amount of time. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed everything about that interview. How'd you feel about it, Cornelius?
I mean, Nikki is so great. She's always just so honest and powerful and allows herself to be vulnerable and just articulates herself so well. And just has so much conviction. It's always so great to talk with her. So I'm saddened to hear that she has those struggles, but I'm also just happy that she seems to be struggling, but at peace with with where she's at.
Yeah, I'm excited for the people there because they're gonna actually get a chance to embrace a truly beautiful soul. So I'm excited for all the work that she's gonna be doing. As for us with Priced Out, the podcast, we've got something really great coming your way again for the next episode. This is part of a series called Cut. Is it what are we calling it? Cut Out?
Yeah, let's call it Cut Out. Cut Out of Priced Out. Yeah, and Cut Out is basically issues that we did not address or did not have time to address in the documentary. So we're going to be talking to, we've been talking to a series of people about different issues, and this next installment will be an interview with Fred Stewart, who's in the film briefly, and he has just a really unique perspective on gentrification. His perspective is someone who sells houses for a living, but he is a wealth of knowledge about the history of the neighborhood. He has a near photographic memory, and we're going to do 2 parts on him. So he's a very controversial figure, and he's just a really, really interesting guy with a lot to say about what it means to have grown up in the neighborhood during some of the hardest years to have grown up, but also about the opportunities that gentrification brought to the neighborhood, and also, of course, all the obvious downsides.
All right, so another great interview. We've got another great one coming up, and I'm excited about it. If you love podcasts, make sure you check us out in the video podcast section of iTunes. You can catch us there. You can also catch us on Priced Out on YouTube, so make sure you get us there, as well as Facebook and Instagram.
We are on Instagram at Priced Out Movie. We're on Facebook at Priced Out PDX. And we're on Twitter as Priced Out USA. And in iTunes, we're in the video podcast section.
All right. So those are the different ways that you can check out Priced Out. Make sure you subscribe to all of those and hit like and share. Make sure you share Priced Out, the podcast, with at least 5 different friends. Well,
yeah, absolutely.
Well, we've done it again. Another great episode. And we will see you next time on Priced Out, the podcast.
Thanks so much.